Hello, everybody, and welcome to our After Church Tea Time. Today I'm joined by Valentina and Andy and Nikki, and we're going to be sharing our takeaways and learnings and experiences related to Jose and Michaela's sermon on how to channel God's energy. And so for me, one of the things that stood out in the sermon was the sense of allowing yourself to flow with life through God's energy, as opposed to trying to do it yourself, which I think is a lesson that we probably learn over and over again as unionists, to just trust God and have faith in God to take us through our journey. So that's something that really stood out for me. So I'm going to open it up to the team and see how they feel and what was one of their key takeaways.
For me, I would say it was really just being present with what God is communicating for us to do in a certain moment. For example, I've experienced times where I was guided to rest and I didn't. And then I burned out, and then stuff happened when actually, like, the whole point of being like in tune with God is like listening to him and like having this relationship and surrendering and knowing that God knows best, and really just doing what he is saying because it's for our good, not we don't know better. That's the main message. And really what stuck to me was the part where Jose was talking about watching Life Purpose class, and Jeff saying that God is your source and he gives you energy to do everything, and where you're in alignment with your purpose, like you can let him do the work for you. And I really felt the same because as Jose was saying, that he didn't know exactly what that meant, on that how would that look practically. And I have had the same issue like with Life Purpose class. Like, I've been very inner most of the time, but like for Life Purpose class, I've always felt like some kind of block here because I wasn't seeing that I actually have a relationship with God which is physical. And like this sermon overall really grounded me in that, into seeing, like, really feel your feelings. I really see what God is communicating through my feelings about what I'm doing. I'm really trusting that because I've been working through self-doubt, and like I've seen that this part that I saw during the sermon was very numbed out, very resistant to this specific point of like working and really being in tune with God and listening to God. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that because it really just opened up a place and an area that I was kind of blind to, or I wasn't like seeing fully.
And what stuck with me was when Jose and Michaela mentioned about balance. So you have outer work and inner work, and if you're only doing outer work and you're not having a balance in your life where you also do inner work, and you won't be supported in doing your outer work if you're not doing inner work, and otherwise as well. So I really relate to that, especially in my life, that recently that I have a lot of work to do and a lot of stuff. I've been feeling that when I try to do it outside and completely forget about my spiritual life inside, I don't feel like doing all the work outside. And when I actually take the time that is supposed to be for the outer, and I focus that time to be inner and to really find peace and balance in myself, when I go back to do outer work, it feels more peaceful and everything flows so easily that even like the outer work that I do is done much faster and much efficient, and everything just flows like easily and you don't even expect it. And after that, you feel like this deep sense of peace And you also have time to rest, as I was saying, that when you rest afterwards, you feel a sense of fulfillment, and that feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can relate to what Jose and Michaela said. Like Michaela said, she specified, like instead of just doing inner work, sometimes you've got to just do the physical action part. And I had that experience recently. Like, yeah, like I was like, oh, I need to do more inner work and heal my blocks to action. And then I was like, no, I'm just gonna do some work. So we ended up cleaning out our house, and it was like half the day we were just like focused on our home, cleaning out what we didn't need anymore, and like just not stopping. And I had been moving through an energy, like it was like a depression energy. And before we started, it's like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this. But then we started and just moving through it. And like God gave me the energy to complete it. And like I just received from that, like I could feel that life force energy. And just went the whole day, which I was surprised. So yeah, it's very true. Like sometimes it's just about taking the action and just like moving through those feelings of resistance to working. So yeah, I relate to that, and I'm learning that more and more. And also like I've noticed with myself, like I'm noticing like when I need to take rest, it's not always like because I have to follow like the collective, like there is a collective energy that what's happening, like okay, this is time for work, this is time for rest, and we're going to do it all together. But then other days I'm like, oh, I don't feel like that energy to do lots today. I need to listen to my own intuition for my own body, my own self. So I'll take a time out. Or other days I'll be like, oh no, I've got a lot more to give today, and like just even like breaking like my own sort of goals, like going past my own expectations, my own goal. So yeah, definitely it's about like getting used to listening to yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. And I think one of the things that you're mentioning is that, that cycle of sometimes the inner, sometimes the outer, and it literally is, it's very cyclical. And I find it for myself as well that, I'll do a big piece of healing and it almost feels like a spiritual uncluttering. And the minute I've gone through that major healing piece, I will find that I'm guided to clean up the space around me. So I'll start to find things to unclutter in my physical space. And it's quite interesting because, I never connected the two. But just going through it, it's like, yeah, it's perfect how your inner healing does result in outer movement. It always results in a shift. And it never... I almost find that it never feels like work once I've healed the piece that I needed to heal. And that's so it's kind of just really a flow that makes me feel very comfortable to do, and it doesn't feel like work. And probably in the past, it felt like work. It felt almost, it's like the difference between heavy lifting versus realizing that the lifting is actually quite easy, but it only feels easy because the inner lifting has been done. So yeah, it's just been a journey of understanding my own cyclical process. And I think it's something that we've learned through Jeff and Shaleia as well, is to respect that cycle for all of ourselves. And so in respecting our own, that cycle for ourselves, we start to honor what's happening at any given time. so that when you are called to rest, you don't feel like you're being unproductive. And when you do rest, you actually do find that rest comes through the cycle of having accomplished something, which is something that Jose and Michaela shared as well in their sermon. And so I just feel like, there's always a lesson through the sermon that's very relatable to what we have experienced in life or what we're currently experiencing in life and experiencing through our healing journey. So it always resonates. There's always a component that truly resonates with the current energy that that I'm moving through. And I find that it's very aligned, that it tends to be on the when I'm doing the after church time, it's very relatable in my life at that point. So yeah, it's always been very interesting in this journey that things just resonate so well. But also, it makes you feel like, hey, I'm actually connected to more than what I realize I'm connected to.
Yeah, I agree. Even with me, when I'm choosing to flow with life, sometimes I do stuff that I'm not expecting to do. For example, like cleaning the house around me or some other stuff. It just feels that natural flow that you don't really go with your own plans. You basically have something in your mind what you're going to do with your day. But when you flow with that, when you flow with God, it just feels like you are there in the moment, and the moment takes you to what feels doing best at any moment in your day. So yeah, I relate to that as well. And with the after church thing you mentioned as well, it's always the thing that I'm going through in my life, and when the after church tea time comes, when our turn comes, it's like perfectly relatable to what we are moving through at that moment. So yeah, that's fun.
Something that I wanted to mention from the sermon also was that part where you have like times where you inhale and like exhale, just like life, and like you rest and then you work. And I've seen, like, during the sermon, I was thinking, like, realizing how I've been in the rest part of my journey, let's say, of the cycle, since I quit my corporate job, because it was very draining and I didn't have much time or energy to actually do a lot of inner work. And I really surrendered into my energy there. Since I came home and I'm working with Andy, I've had like less work hours and more inner work to do. I like it balanced out, as it was meant to be like that, because on the other side, like, we have, as a union, we've manifested another job where Andy is like paid more, and it just stabilized things. And it was just me letting go of control and like really getting that rest phase and like that inner period for myself to really focus on my union. And like things just moved along smoothly and are still like moving smoothly, because also like the part where you feel like the energy that comes back, like the life energy coming back to you, and you know that you have like to do outer stuff, is the period where I am right now. And the projects that we have in hand that we want like to bring forward, like I feel like I'm getting that, I'm getting out of that incubating time. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it makes sense, because there are cycles, and it's good to be aware of that. And maybe sometimes I know that I've been hard on myself, like telling myself, why don't you have more energy, like, to do stuff? And I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to do anything else beside this at the moment. And I really had like to let go of that perception and being hard on myself, like, no, you should be doing outside things. And Dandy was like, no, I'm handling that. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just chilling, going inside.
It comes back to respecting the flow of God. That means respecting yourself and what you feel like doing at the moment, and not pushing yourself to do something, and just relaxing into what feels good doing in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was just that, letting go of the resistance. I think that's the bigger component. That's probably something that we've had to learn quite a bit, is that we push ourselves we used to push ourselves in certain respects, and that push was probably also resisting something else. And I think with the teaching of union and just going through the process of healing, I've learned that it's okay to feel a certain way at a certain time and want to do some things at a certain time and not others. And it's just about honoring it again. It's about releasing that feeling that I should be doing something else or doing more, which is what Nikki was speaking to. I think it's just a constant reminder to be gentle with ourselves as we go through this journey.
Yeah, I can relate to that as well. And I can also relate to the like listening to what God wants us to do. Because I know there's times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna chill, I'm gonna do my artwork and paint. And then I can feel this tug in my chest, like when I start to do it, and then it's like, no, I don't want you to do that. And then it's like I have this inner dialogue with God and ask, okay, so what would you like me to do? And then it's like on the open forum prospecting, or like recording a YouTube video. And then other times I'm just like, I'm prospecting on the open forum, and I've been doing it for quite some time. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to keep going. And then he's like, no. And you can feel like that sort of feeling in your chest, like a tug, like pulling you away, like, don't want you there, don't want you to do that. And then, okay, I'm not in alignment here, what do you need me to do? And then he's saying, right, okay, now it's time to rest. Or like taking a nap in the afternoon. I'll be like sometimes like wanting to work through it, thinking, oh, I'll be more productive if I just work through the nap time. And then I just get an image like of a bed and like, okay, you want me to lay down and chill. So yeah, I can relate to that, yeah, for sure. It's just about honoring God and listening to God, because he knows what's best for me and best for all of us.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think something that stands out for me also that came through in the sermon was just that energy of avoidance. And, just in this past week, I just kind of felt into that. I've been healing through that little piece of avoidance that kind of seems to be lingering in the background. And yeah, it's just like, it's just that sense of a relief, like it's a release. It literally felt like I had actually taken off like a metal cloak that was just on my shoulders. And it just feels lighter to heal through that process of having an avoidance of things. And I feel like, sometimes it's not necessarily even resistance, it's actually avoiding parts of ourselves that when we do actually connect to that part and bring love there, life becomes easier and it just feels lighter. And I literally just felt like I don't know what was the core of it. I just know that there was a piece of avoidance, and healing that piece of avoidance literally felt like lifting a weight off my chest. I was like, I'm not actually sure what I just healed. I just know that it was a big piece of healing. So, and I think that's something that we've learned from Jeff and Shaleia as well, is that your healing brings relief. And then you know that you've kind of completed that piece of healing, because you come back into that space of peace again. And I think it's something that also came through in the intro, and it's just that I think it was Marisol that shared it. It's just just coming back into your peace all the time, finding more of your peace, and really connecting with yourself to say, what is it that I need to let go of? And I think that's something that very powerfully came through in the sermon from Pastor Michaela around living a surrendered life. Surrendering to God's flow in your life, because then you do find the joy, and you are in a space of much more happiness because things feel joyful. And so, it's been definitely a learning curve to actually ask myself the question of, well, where am I not really feeling happy? And then it took me into a deeper space of going, well, what is happiness for me? And just, asking myself that question was actually quite eye-opening, because I don't think I've ever really asked myself, what does happiness mean to me? And how I would like my happiness to actually feel. And so, I think the sermon it's just a reminder that our healing always connects really well to our flow, but we have to give ourselves permission to accept the peace when it does come. We have to give ourselves permission to accept the joy when it does come. Because sometimes joy doesn't look like doing cartwheels down a passage. Joy just looks like feeling lighter. Joy looks like having a good life. But we have all these images always projected all around us, and I think it's sometimes just like focusing on too much of the outside and not as much or enough on the balance between the inside and outside.
Something that I wanted to mention was how Unionism and the teachings of Union are pretty much like Twin Flame Ascension School and Life Purpose Class collided, and the union of that. And it's very important to see that we're not here to just isolate ourselves in a bubble, just like Michaela said, and that we are living in a mountain and not doing stuff physically, but actually seeing that we need to do outside stuff as well, and that God is there as well, and building that and healing that for the earth and bringing heaven on earth, because that's what it is. And really knowing God is on earth, I can have a relationship with him, I can really listen to him, I can live my purpose, and really just share his love on earth and ground with my twin flame in harmonious union and beyond. Yeah, because sometimes I've seen that I've personally tended to avoid seeing my purpose, and I know that I've had things to heal to go there and see, and because it's an unfoldment. But when I look at it, it's also like Michaela said, that sometimes we feel bad about doing something that we're called to do, but doing that actually heals it, and that's a big part of it. You may feel bad about it, but you will heal it when you do it, because you can mirror how much you want, but since healing inside and outside. And Jeff also says this in Life Purpose, it's the same, and it's one at the core. Like, if you're feeling called to do something and you feel fear doing that, you just do it, or you feel bad doing that, like you just do it, and you will see that after that, and while doing that, you will feel much better and complete.
Yeah, and it's just the same with the opposite as well. When you are doing something and you don't feel good, it's not because the thing that you're doing, as I mentioned this, it's not because the thing that you're doing is making you feel that way. It's because you have something inside that you have to see. It's not the thing outside that is the problem, so to say.
Mm. By
Yeah,
the way, just asking. Sorry.
Sorry?
Just wanted to ask, what kind of tea are you guys drinking? If you're
So
drinking
I'm
any.
actually not very much of a tea person. My thing is coffee.
Me too.
Us too. We were actually saying, like, before the after church, we were like sipping coffee while we were making the teas. And we were like, hey, let's take a break from the coffee for 1 hour. Yeah. So our teas of choice, because we brought tea. It's, for me, it's like bananas and cherry, and
I'm drinking green tea.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, if I do drink tea, I would probably have chamomile or lemon and ginger.
Nice.
Not often though, because yeah, I can literally go through 10 cups of coffee a day, and it's not even that the coffee does anything; it's the concept of drinking the coffee.
Yeah. It's a culture.
How about you, Valentina?
Yeah, I just had chai tea at home, and that's got like the caffeine. I'm quite sensitive to that. And it's nighttime where I'm, so I'm having after church tea time milk instead. Milk.
Of the church tea time water. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like
as I said, I generally do coffee more than tea, but if I do tea, I actually like lemon and ginger or chamomile, just because it kind of just settles your energy a little bit and allows you to relax a bit. So yeah, if I was to drink tea, that's what I would be drinking.
it's nice that there's this part included though, encouraging people to drink the tea. Because when I first came into the community and I heard about after church tea time and I watched it, I was expecting everyone to be with their mugs, everyone with their mugs out, and they weren't. So it's like, this is cool that we're starting that now. It's good.
Yeah, very cool. So just checking in with all of you. How are you feeling? Do you feel pretty much complete with after church tea time today? Awesome. So thank you to all of you for joining me today for after church tea time, and to everybody that's greeted us and had fun with us. Definitely thank you for joining us. Sonia says she's a rebel, so she craved a beer, not tea. So yeah, thank you everybody. And to all of you, please feel free to like and subscribe to our Church of Union YouTube channel, where you will find all our previous after church tea times and any other live discussions that have happened in our Unionism spiritual discussion group on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing all of you again soon for another after church tea time. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.